All right. This is going to be a long one. It's going to be a long one. Don't know how long it's going to be, but I got all the information right here. And I'm not going to edit it at all because it's going to be a long sound recording. But these are my official 2022-2023 NFL season predictions, starting from week 1 all the way to week 18 and including playoffs. I'm going through every single game. This took me a minute to compile together. It took me a lot longer than a minute. I'll tell you what. I thought this would take me like an hour, maybe 2 hours. It took me a lot longer than, let's just say, 4+ hours to compile all this together. So, yeah, I'm not going to waste any more time with this. Let's just hop right in to week 1. All right, so in week 1, we start off the season with Buffalo versus the Rams. And you will hear clicking in the background. That is just my mouse. Just so that I can get the right information and I'm not panicking. You'll just hear the mouse. So giving you a heads up. Buffalo versus LA. I'm gonna take Buffalo in this game. I think the Rams are gonna struggle to start off the year just on that Super Bowl high still. They'll be overconfident, thinking they're gonna run the league. And I don't think they'll come out confident, so I'll take Buffalo in that game. New Orleans versus Atlanta. I'm going to take New Orleans. Both these teams are going to be irrelevant all season, so it really doesn't matter. San Francisco versus Chicago. This is really not even a pick. It's San Francisco. Chicago ain't winning this game at all. Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati. So I'm a huge Pittsburgh fan. I'd love to say right now that Cincinnati would lose to Pittsburgh, but I know Cincinnati's on a mission this year. Pittsburgh is young. We got a new quarterback. Who knows who's going to start week 1? I'll do a separate video on Pittsburgh, but Cincinnati's going to win this game. Philadelphia versus Detroit. Philadelphia, without a doubt. New Orleans versus Miami. So not New Orleans versus Miami, I'm stupid. New England versus Miami. So Miami usually has New England's number, but I feel like in week 1, New England's going to take this dub. New England's going to have a phenomenal year this year. Mac Jones is looking incredible. And yeah, just New England beats Miami. Baltimore versus the Jets. I'm going to take Baltimore. Jacksonville versus Washington. So this game, both teams are irrelevant, but I don't know why I'm feeling a strong year from Trevor Lawrence. I could be completely wrong. But I'm going to take Jacksonville in this one. Cleveland versus Carolina. I'm going to take Cleveland. Indianapolis versus Houston. Indy. The Giants versus Tennessee. Green Bay versus Minnesota. So Minnesota's season's going to go one of two ways this year. One, they're going to be playing like they usually do. Terrible. They're playing under their talent level. Or, with a new coach this year, offensive-minded coach, they're actually going to play up to their skill level. I'm banking on this year they're playing up to their skill level, so I'm going to take Minnesota Minnesota to beat Green Bay, especially because it's in Minnesota. And Green Bay usually struggles to start off the year, so yeah, I'm going to take Minnesota in that game. Kansas City versus Arizona. I thought about this for a minute, but then I decided I'm just going to take Kansas City. Kansas City. Las Vegas versus the Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers because the Chargers, I feel like, are going to have a phenomenal season. They're going to have a phenomenal season, I think. So, I think they're going to win. I don't know. I can't be explaining every single game because this is going to be a long video. Tampa Bay versus Dallas. I'm going to take Tampa Bay for obvious reasons. And Denver versus Seattle. I'm going to take Seattle, again, for obvious reasons. So that was week 1. I feel like the game of the week is going to end up being probably the Raiders the Raiders versus the Chargers. Raiders versus the Chargers. And now on to week 2. Week 2, we've got, to start off, the Chargers versus the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chargers just because, like I said, I'm feeling a strong year from the Chargers. The Chiefs, they usually struggle to start off the year. They do. I don't think Arizona should be a problem for them in week 1, but I think the Chiefs will take this L. The Giants versus Cleveland. I'm going to take the Giants because Cleveland's going to have one of the worst years. Well, I can't even say that because they didn't even win a game. They're going to have a terrible year. Washington versus Detroit. Washington. Tampa Bay versus New Orleans. I'm going to take New Orleans because New Orleans always has Tampa Bay's number. So, yeah. Carolina versus the Giants. I'm feeling Carolina in this game. No further comment. Indianapolis versus Jacksonville. Obviously, Indy. New England versus Pittsburgh. I'm going to make a whole separate video about Pittsburgh season. So, New England wins. I hate to say that. Miami versus Baltimore. Miami. Miami's, they're going to have I don't know how their season's going to go. I really don't. Or I have a rough idea because I made this video. But Miami, they're going to be a boom or bust team. Or even just a mid team, I guess. No, they're probably going to be you'll hear. Atlanta versus the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams. Miami, I just said that. Seattle versus San Francisco. San Francisco. Cincinnati versus Dallas. Cincinnati for obvious reasons. Houston versus Denver. Denver for obvious reasons. Arizona versus the Rams. The Rams will get it together. Wait, Arizona. Yeah. Arizona versus the Rams. Arizona. And when I said Miami and Baltimore, or Arizona and Baltimore, I meant Miami. So Miami beats Baltimore. Sunday night football game, Chicago versus Green Bay. I'll take Green Bay. Monday night football game, Tennessee versus Buffalo. Buffalo, for obvious reasons. Minnesota versus Philadelphia. I'm going to take Minnesota. I'm not even going to do the game of the week anymore. We're just going to try to get through this as quick as possible. Week 3, Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. Finally, Pittsburgh gets their first double of the year. Houston versus Chicago. I'm going to take Chicago. The Rams versus Tennessee. I'm going to take the Rams. Buffalo versus Miami. Buffalo. Kansas City versus Indianapolis. Kansas City. Minnesota versus Detroit. I'm going to take Minnesota. Baltimore versus New England. It's New England. Cincinnati versus the Jets. I'm not even gonna say my answer. You guys know. Philadelphia versus Washington. Philadelphia. New Orleans versus Carolina. I'm gonna take New Orleans. Jacksonville versus the Chargers. I'm not even gonna say my answer. Rams versus Arizona. The Rams. Atlanta versus Seattle. Seattle. Green Bay versus Tampa Bay. I'm gonna take Green Bay. San Francisco versus Denver. I'm gonna take San Francisco. And on Monday Night Football, Dallas versus the Giants. I'm gonna take Dallas. Week 4, let's go. Miami versus Cincinnati. I think Miami's going to lose. Cincinnati's going to beat Miami. Minnesota versus New Orleans. I think Minnesota takes this dub. Cleveland versus Atlanta. I'm going to take Atlanta. I feel like Kyle Pitts. I just need to keep going. Washington versus Dallas. I'm going to take Dallas. Seattle versus Detroit. I'm going to take Detroit. Tennessee versus Indianapolis. I'm going to take Tennessee. Chicago versus the Giants. I'm going to take the Giants. Jacksonville versus Philly. I'm going to take Philly. The New York Jets versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take Buffalo. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Houston Texans. Why did it take me a minute to think about that? I'm going to take the Chargers. The Arizona Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers. Arizona. New England Patriots versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Patriots. I'm going to take the Patriots just because, again, I feel like Green Bay struggles to start off the season. So that is why I'm taking the Patriots. Denver versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders. Kansas City versus Tampa Bay. I'm going to take Tampa Bay because Tom Brady has Kansas City's number. And the Monday Night Football game, the Los Angeles Rams at San Francisco. And I think San Francisco will take that dub. All right, so here's what we're going to do. For each week, I'm going to kind of talk about 2 games. I'm going to talk about 2, maybe 3 games. So that's how we're going to go about this because we're only in week 5 and we're already almost 10 minutes into this video. So we got 13 more weeks and the playoffs to go through. So, and I got to go through the records. So we got to get this moving. Week 5, the Indianapolis Colts versus the Denver Broncos. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos in this one. The New York Giants versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Cleveland. I was about to say Cavaliers. The Cleveland Browns. I'm going to take the Chargers. Chicago. The Chicago Bears take on the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings in this one. The Detroit Lions versus the New England Patriots. I'm going to take the New England Patriots. The Seattle Seahawks versus the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints. The Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets. I'm going to take Miami. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tennessee Titans versus the Washington Commanders. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans. The Houston Texans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So for this game, you may think this is just a tank bowl, right? Wrong. You're going to see much later in the video, but I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. The Dallas Cowboys versus the LA Rams. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys, and here's why. The Cowboys always start off the year hot. They always do. They just start sucking around Thanksgiving. And the Rams, like I said, they're going to be on a Super Bowl high. So I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys in this one. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles because I also, like the Rams, think the Arizona Cardinals are going to struggle to start off the season. I think they'll end up getting it together, and you'll see where I have them. But for now, I'm feeling a strong season for Philadelphia, which that is the last thing this planet needs, is for a Philadelphia sports team to be good. So, well, yes, it's the last thing our world needs. But I'm going to take Philadelphia because they're going to have a young, fast-paced offense. The Cincinnati Bengals, I caught myself, versus the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. Week 6. All right. The Washington Commanders take on the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take the Washington Commanders. The San Francisco 49ers take on the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. The New England Patriots take on the Cleveland... I almost said Cavaliers again. Take on the Cleveland Browns. I think New England's going to take that dub. The New York Jets versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Indianapolis Colts. All right. So the Colts, I feel like, are going to have one of the most disappointing seasons in recent memory for the Colts. Well, that season where Peyton Manning got hurt was pretty bad, but can you count that as recent? No. That was 10 years ago. Wow. That was the second year. No, that was one of the first seasons I remember watching football, but wow, that was a long time ago. So, I feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars, like I said, are going to have a solid year. They're going to have a solid year. That is why I'm going to take Jacksonville. If Indianapolis wins, it's going to be because Jonathan Taylor has over 500 rushing yards. The Minnesota Vikings versus the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. The Baltimore Ravens versus the New York Giants. I'm dumb. Baltimore wins. Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh. It's hard for me to say Tom Brady beats the Steelers. I get flashbacks to every year. It's Tampa Bay wins. The Carolina Panthers versus the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams. The Arizona Cardinals versus the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take Arizona. The Buffalo Bills versus Kansas City. I'm going to take Kansas City. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles because Dallas is Dallas, and it's best for the world for Dallas to lose. And the Monday Night Football game, the Denver Broncos versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I think the Broncos are going to be solid, but the Chargers are going to be great. So I'm going to take the LA Chargers in this one. All right, so we are 6 weeks down, 14 minutes into the video. Let's try to get this under 30. We're going to try to get the weeks under 30. Let's see if we can pull it off. Week 7, the New Orleans Saints versus the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. The Detroit Lions versus the Dallas Cowboys. Now, like I said for the previous entry, the world becomes better when the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles lose a game. And Detroit, they were the best, worst team in the NFL last year. I'm feeling like they're going to have a comeback year. The Detroit in 5. I'm sorry, that was a terrible basketball reference. I'm going to take Detroit in this game. Where was I? I lost my place. Green Bay versus the Washington Commanders. I'm going to take Green Bay. The Indianapolis Colts versus the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to take Tennessee. The New York Giants versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to take the boys in Jacksonville, the Jaguars. The Cleveland Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take Baltimore for obvious reasons. The New York Jets versus the Denver Broncos. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. The Houston Texans versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders for obvious reasons. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers. Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Miami Dolphins. Now, this might be personal bias. It might. It really might be. But I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one. Monday Night Football, the New England Patriots versus the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take the New England Patriots. We are now on to Week 8. And let's just jump right in. Baltimore versus Tampa Bay. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. The Denver Broncos versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. The Carolina Panthers versus the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons. The Chicago Bears versus the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys. The Miami Dolphins versus the Detroit Lions. I'm going to take the Dolphins. The Arizona Cardinals versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to take Arizona just because Minnesota is Minnesota and they will always lose to Arizona for some reason. And this will be Minnesota's first loss of the year, shockingly, in my opinion, which the Vikings are probably going to go like 8-8 or 9-7, but I have this as their first loss of the year. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders. The New England Patriots play the New York Jets. Going to just move on. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take, again, this might be personal bias, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win this game. The Tennessee Titans versus the Houston Texans. I'll say it. The Tennessee Titans beat Houston. The Washington Commanders versus the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams. The New York Giants. I almost said Jets. Versus the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the Giants. The Green Bay Packers versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to take Green Bay. And Cincinnati versus Cleveland. Why is this on a Monday Night Football game? That is a worthless spot for a Monday Night Football game. But you know what? I'm going to take Cincinnati. Week 9. Philadelphia versus the Houston Texans. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles. The Los Angeles Chargers play the Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta. I'm going to take the LA Chargers. The Miami Dolphins versus the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take Miami. The Carolina Panthers play the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. The Green Bay Packers play the Detroit Lions. I don't know why I stopped right there. The Green Bay Packers will take that one. The Indianapolis Colts versus the New England Patriots. I'm going to take the New England Patriots. The Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. The Minnesota Vikings versus the Washington Commanders. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders. The Seattle Seahawks play the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take the Cardinals. The Los Angeles Rams play Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. And I think Tampa Bay is going to win this game just because Tom Brady's going to take that personal just like Michael Jordan and just completely annihilate Matthew Stafford and the Rams. The Tennessee Titans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. The Baltimore Ravens versus the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints. So that was probably the quickest week that we went through because I barely elaborated. Let's just keep this rolling. Week 10. The Week 10, the Atlanta Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Minnesota Vikings play the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, but I'm going to take Buffalo just because I think the Minnesota Vikings will be solid, but there's no way they're going into Bills territory in Week 10 and beating the Bills. The Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears. Irrelevant. The Detroit Lions win, though. The Denver Broncos versus the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson's going to pull off something. Jacksonville versus Kansas City. Oh my gosh, Kansas City wins this game. Cleveland versus Miami. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins. The Houston Texans play... Houston Texans play the New York Giants. I'm going to take the Houston Texans. The New Orleans Saints versus Pittsburgh. Now, whenever I think about this matchup, I automatically go back to the game where Juju Smith-Schuster fumbled the ball. He fumbled the bag and cost us the playoff spot. But it is what it is. But No, actually, no, it's not what it is what it is. He is in Kansas City now. He sold and ran off, even though it was like 3 years later. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one because lol. The Indianapolis Colts versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. The Arizona Cardinals versus the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the San Francisco, the battle for California, which there's going to be a lot of battles for California this year. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers. And on Monday Night Football, Washington Commanders versus Philadelphia, which is another terrible decision, but I'm not surprised that ESPN made that decision. I'm going to take the Washington Commanders. All right, that was Week 10. Now let's jump right into Week 11. Week 11, the Tennessee Titans versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football. See, that's actually a quality Thursday Night Football matchup, which I'm very shocked. The Chicago Bears versus the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons. The Cleveland Browns. I'm not even trying to do that. Versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. Wait, does that just show how irrelevant the Browns are? Does that really show how irrelevant I almost called them the Cavaliers again. The Browns are, that I automatically think to the Cavaliers. Coincidence? I don't know. Philadelphia versus the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles. The New York Jets versus the New England Patriots. I'm going to take the New England Patriots. The Los Angeles Rams versus the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take the Rams. The Detroit Lions versus the New York Jets. I'm going to take Detroit. The Carolina Panthers versus the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take Baltimore. The Washington Commanders versus the Houston Texans. I'm going to take Washington. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Denver Broncos. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to take Kansas City. The Sunday Night Football game, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sadly, we'll probably get our butts whooped. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take Airy. All right, so we are now at Thanksgiving. We are at Thanksgiving now on Week 12. We are 22 minutes in. I don't think we're going to hit the under 30 minutes for all the game predictions, but there's no way to find out unless we get there. Week 12, Thanksgiving Day, the Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills for obvious reasons. The New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys. I hate to say it, but I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to win on Thanksgiving. It's a bad day, but it is what it is because Turkey will make up for it. And this game in the night will make up for it. The New England Patriots versus the Minnesota Vikings. It is in Minnesota. And that's the only reason I'm picking Minnesota, because if it was in Foxborough, there's no way Captain Kirk Cousins would walk into Foxborough and beat. Why can't I think of his name? It's not Mac Jones. Why do I think Roger Goodell? Oh, because he basically was an owner in the team. But no, I'm thinking of Bill Belichick. There's no way he would walk into Foxborough and beat Bill Belichick. So I'm going to take Minnesota in this game just because it's in Minneapolis. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, now we're on Sunday. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Cleveland Browns. Tampa Bay takes this dub. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. The Houston Texans versus the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins. The Chicago Bears versus the New York Jets. I'm going to take the New York Jets. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Washington Commanders. I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons. The Denver Broncos versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to take Baltimore. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take the Chargers. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders. The Los Angeles Rams versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. The New Orleans Saints play the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. The Green Bay Packers take on the Philadelphia Eagles, but I'm going to take Green Bay. And lastly, the Pittsburgh Steelers play the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm just looking at the time. I'm going to edit into I will do one edit in this video. It'll be at the start of the video where I will say I'm going to timestamp where I go over the records and playoff stuff, just because I don't know if many people are going to watch me just say teams' names and say who I think is going to win without barely any explanation. But yeah, that's just a side note I was thinking of when I was randomly listing off teams. So now on to Week 13. The Buffalo Bills versus the New England Patriots. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills, which this is actually a quality matchup to have on Thursday Night Football. Why are the Thursday Night Football games a lot better than the Sunday Night Football games or even the Monday Night Football games? Maybe it's because Amazon's paying the big bucks. I don't know. I'm not going to get political here. So let's move on. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to take the boys downtown, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Detroit Lions. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars. The New York Jets versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. The Washington Commanders versus the New York Giants. I'm going to take the Washington Commanders. The Tennessee Titans versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles. The Denver Broncos versus Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos just because, I don't know, Russell Wilson's going to do something. And the defense, honestly, isn't bad. Baltimore, who knows who's going to be their quarterback? If Lamar Jackson, I knew for sure was playing, I'd probably pick Baltimore. No cap. But for all I know, Tyler Huntley's going to be their quarterback next year. So I'm going to give the Broncos this win. I'm making these predictions before even training camps begin. So, wait, have training camps begun? No way they haven't. No way they have. I'm making these predictions even before the preseason. So, yeah. Where was I? I went on a side rant. There we are. The Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Browns. I keep doing that versus the Houston Texans. This is a certified tank bowl. The Cleveland Browns get their first win because, lol, they can't even tank correctly. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams. The Miami Dolphins versus the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, I'm saying Dolphins on purpose, but I think the Dolphins will take this dub. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to take the Cincinnati, not Bengals. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders in this one. The Indianapolis Colts versus the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys. The New Orleans Saints versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Alright, so before I continue, you guys might be wondering, did you really just say this is Cleveland's first win? Yes, I really did say this was Cleveland's first win of the year. Because I don't think they're going to be that good. I really don't think they're going to be that good. Sorry, I took a quick drink of my water. The Browns, who's going to be their quarterback? Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson? I don't care. They're going to be a terrible team this year. They're going to have terrible chemistry. And I don't feel like they're going to be a good team this year. So, yes, I did really have them go 0-11. And this is their first win against a jabroni team in the Houston Texans. But, yeah, we're definitely not hitting the 30-minute mark. Let's jump right into Week 14. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams. The Minnesota Vikings versus the Detroit Lions. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. The New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. The Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. The Houston Texans versus the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus Tennessee. I actually struggled on this one for a minute just because I kind of wanted to say the Jacksonville Jaguars would beat the Tennessee Titans because the Tennessee Titans are terrible without Derrick Henry. I don't know why I'm talking so fast. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Giants. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Haha, sucks to be a Baltimore fan. I'm taking Pittsburgh. Take that L. The Miami Dolphins versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Carolina Panthers versus the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks in this one. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos. I'm going to take Kansas City. And the New England Patriots versus the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. Week 15, boys. Let's just jump. I keep saying let's just jump right in. I'm already going to jump right in, so let's go. San Francisco 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. The Indianapolis Colts versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings because the Colts are trash. The Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills because the Dolphins are the Dolphins. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore's going to win. The Atlanta Falcons versus the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take Atlanta. The New York Giants versus the Washington Commanders. I'm going to take the Super Bowl winning, Tom Brady beaten New York Giants. The Chicago Bears versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. The Detroit Lions versus the New York Giants. The New York Jets. The Lions will beat the Jets. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to take the boys, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to take Dallas. The Kansas City Chiefs versus Houston. Moving on. Arizona versus Denver. I'm going to take Arizona in this one. The Tennessee Titans versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers because the Titans L. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, we'll talk about this one for a minute. I feel like Tom Brady, the game's gonna be close, but I feel like Tom Brady will end up winning this game just because he's Tom Brady and he can never give us anything good. He always wants us all to suffer, and just for us to all to suffer, he will destroy an up and coming team, ruin their confidence. The Buccaneers win this game. The New England Patriots versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm gonna take the Las Vegas Raiders just because I don't know. I just want to see New England lose. That's really it. The Patriots will probably win this game. In all honesty, they will. But you know what? Every day the Patriots lose. There's 3 teams in this world. No, 4. The San Francisco 49ers, the New England Patriots, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Philadelphia Eagles. Every day those 4 teams lose, the world becomes a better place. So I'm going to take the Vegas Raiders. And the Los Angeles Rams versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams because it feels like Aaron Rodgers loses one important game all year, and that will be it. Week 16, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New York Jets. Why do I keep doing that? I'll take the Jacksonville Jaguars. The New York Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. Duh. The Buffalo Bills versus the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. The New Orleans Saints versus the Cleveland Browns. I'm never going to stop doing that. The New Orleans Saints will win that game. The Houston Texans versus Tennessee Titans. Moving on. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the New England Patriots. Since I made up that stupid rule for New England last week, I kind of had to make up for it, so I'm going to have them beat Cincinnati. The Detroit Lions versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take Baltimore. The Washington Commanders versus San Francisco. I'm going to take San Francisco. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys. The Las Vegas Raiders versus Pittsburgh. You guys don't understand how much I wanted to say Pittsburgh would win this game. But I'm a realist. So the Raiders win this game. The Green Bay Packers versus the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins because, I don't know. I thought, create some parity. Let's have the Green Bay Packers lose. The Denver Broncos versus the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay. We got through 16 weeks. Oh, wait, there was one more. The Chargers versus the Colts. Oh, well, that was an irrelevant game anyways. All right. Week 17. Let's go. Dallas Cowboys versus the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans because, lol. The Minnesota Vikings versus the Green Bay Packers. It's in Lambeau. Kirk Cousins is not doing anything in Lambeau. The Packers win that game. The Arizona Cardinals versus the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. The Chicago Bears play the Detroit Lions. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions, though. The Denver Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. The Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots. Now, this is where Miami gets their LOL funny moment win over the Patriots that they do every year. The Patriots win this game. The Dolphins win this game. The Indianapolis Colts versus the New York Giants. I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts. The New Orleans Pelicans versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles. The Carolina Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was looking at the next one already. The Cleveland Browns versus the Washington Commanders. I'm going to take the Washington Commanders. Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. Screw this game. I'm going to take Baltimore, but Pittsburgh should win this game. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Houston Texans. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars. The San Francisco 49ers play the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to take the Vegas Raiders. The New York Jets play the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the New York Jets. The Los Angeles Rams play the Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers win this game. The Buffalo Bills play the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, guys, we made it. 34 minutes of talking. And we're barely just getting done with the predictions because we still got playoffs and records to go through. Like I said, it's going to be a long video. So if you made it this far, why don't you guys just leave a like on the video, please? I'd really appreciate it. And at that point, there's this little red button down there. Yeah, it's called a subscribe button. It costs nothing. So can you turn that on, please? And also, if you'd like notifications, I'm working on a big video, which I'll announce at the end of this video. It's going to be a funny video. And it's going to be about this long because I am about halfway done and I'm already at 10 pages. And this is how many pages? I'm at 10 right now, so it's going to be pretty long. But it's going to be funny. It's basketball related. The Cavaliers have something to do with it, but I'll announce that at the end of the video. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into, I keep saying that, let's just jump right into Week 18. The Minnesota Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to take the New England Patriots in this one. The Buffalo Bills versus... Wait. What? You're telling me I messed up? Oh, no. No, I didn't. We're good. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. I'm stupid. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers, eliminating the Broncos from the playoffs. The Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. The Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs, making the Raiders confirmed to be in the wild card. The New York Jets versus the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins, but sadly, they're not in the playoffs. Miami barely missed it, which we'll go over that in a minute. The Carolina Panthers versus the New Orleans Saints. The New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the Giants. The Cleveland, Cavaliers again. Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Arizona Cardinals versus the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. The Los Angeles Raiders versus the Seattle Sorry about that. The Los Angeles Raiders versus the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Raiders. Wait, not Raiders, Rams. The Rams will beat the Seahawks. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington Commanders. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys. And lastly, but certainly not least, the Jacksonville Jaguars play the Tennessee Titans. And you know what? I have the Titans winning this game. But even on my paper, it says the Titans win this game. But I'm going to say the Jacksonville Jaguars for the LMAO moment. Oh, we're done. We finished that. 37 minutes and 5 seconds. We finished going over all the predictions. So, there will be a timestamp, which it should be cutting to about now. That will now, we just go over the records and standings and then playoffs. So, we got to scroll up and let's start with the AFC East. I have two teams tied for first place, finishing with a whopping record of 13-4. The Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots are tied for first place, followed by the Miami Dolphins at a whopping 11-6, and the Jets at an underwhelming 3-14. AFC North in first place, no shocker here, again, which I was shocked, with a record of 13-4. We have a lot of 13-4s, you'll see. And then second, tied for second, with both a record of 10-7, the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then in last place, the Cleveland Cavaliers with a record of 1-16. Now in the AFC South, we got the Tennessee Titans in first place with a record of 9-8. And then second place, you won't believe this, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 7-10. Followed by the Indianapolis Colts with a record of 5-12. And then the Texans with, just like the Cavaliers, a 1-16 record. But guess what? I didn't make it on purpose, but the Cleveland Cavaliers, since they have the head-to-head victory, will not get the first pick, and that will indeed be the Houston Texans. So, lol, I keep saying it. The Browns will not get the first pick in the draft, in my opinion. In my predictions before I know who's even starting this year. The AFC West, this is probably the one you guys want to see. I have a two-way tie for first with, again, 13-4. The Chargers and the Chiefs tied at 13-4. And then the Raiders come in second with a record of 12-5. And the Broncos, 9-7. Now on to the NFC. In the NFC East, we got the Dallas Cowboys at 11-6. The Giants at 3-4. First place, we got the Eagles at 12-5. Second place, Dallas with 11-6. The Washington Commanders at 6-11, and the Giants at 3-14. The NFC North, we got another tie for first place with, again, the same record, 13-4. The Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers are tied for first place there. Then we got the Detroit Lions with a whopping 7 wins and 10 losses, followed by Chicago, who is 1-16. The San Francisco. Oh, okay, wait. Then we got the AFC, not the AFC, the NFC West. The Rams in first place at 11-6. The Niners in second with 10-7. Not second place. The Cardinals in second. All right. The Rams, and the Cardinals are tied. I have at 11-6. The Niners at 10-7, and the Seahawks at 3-14. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, this is now the last NFC conference. Tampa Bay Buccaneers in first place at 13-4, coincidentally, and then we got the Saints in second at 7-9. The Atlanta Falcons at 5-12, and the Carolina Panthers at 3-13. So, the seeding in these playoffs I had. This took way too long. In the AFC, we got the number 1 seed, the Cincinnati Bengals, at 13-4. I'm not going to go over the records. I'm just going to say them quickly. The Chargers in second because they have the head-to-head. Well, because them and the Chiefs both have the exact same record and exact same head-to-head too. So that's kind of funny. And I just put the Chargers there because it goes down to point differential, and I feel like the Chargers will put up more points this year. So I put the Chargers at second. The Bills at third. The Bills were tied with the New England Patriots, but I do feel like the Buffalo Bills will put up more points than the New England Patriots, so that's why they are at 3. At 4, it's the Tennessee Titans. At 5, the New England Patriots. At 6, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. And at 7, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. In the NFC, at number 1, we have the Green Bay Packers. Because them and Minnesota have the same head-to-head, but I do feel like Green Bay will put up more points, and I just gave it to Rodgers so that he can lose in the playoffs. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert, but just so he could lose in the playoffs as a number 1 seed again. Just like he always does. Number 2, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then we got the Philadelphia Eagles. Then the Arizona Cardinals. Then the Minnesota Vikings, the Rams, and the Dallas Cowboys. So let's just jump into the wild card game. Tennessee versus New England. Now, I really didn't even have to think about this game, really. I think New England will easily take care of Tennessee. Legit, the only reason Tennessee made it into the playoffs was because they won a terrible division. They had 4 teams above them with better records. No, 3. The Miami Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Ravens. But since they won their division, they got a playoff berth, but I think New England will beat them. The Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. How ironic is this that everyone wanted this to be the AFC Championship game and I have it in the wild card? But I do think it is in Buffalo territory this time. I think Josh Allen will overcome his demons and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll be a phenomenal game. And I think the Buffalo Bills beat the Chiefs and make Jackson Mahomes do a sad TikTok dance. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Ironic how this was the game that put the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs last year. And now it's the first round of the playoffs. Sadly, though, for the Raiders, I think the Chargers will now win this game. They will be pissed off from the last year. And Justin Herbert's going to put on a show, so I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers. Now on to the NFC. We got the Arizona Cardinals versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I know, it's Kirk Cousins in primetime. But what if they get a morning game for the playoffs? If they can get a morning game, that's what I'm banking on. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Rams will finally get their act together near the end of the season, and they will kind of easily take down the young, inexperienced Philadelphia Eagles team. And then Tampa Bay versus the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, Tom Brady gets an easy first-round game. They will easily dismantle the Dallas Cowboys. Because the Dallas Cowboys will always be that team who will make the wild card, but come up short and lose to either Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or that's about it. The AFC, the divisional round. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the New England Patriots. Sadly, I think Bill Belichick will pull off some magical thing and pull off this victory and beat the Bengals. I think the Bengals run was just their Super Bowl run was a once-in-a-generation thing. I don't think they'll be able to pull it off again, and I think the Patriots are just a better all-around team. Or Belichick is just a better coach and makes up an entire team. We'll just put random guys on the field and just dominate still. So I'm going to take the Patriots in this one. The Buffalo Bills versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills here. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills just because I feel Josh Allen's going to be pumped. He's going to be excited. Like, I don't know, not pumped or excited. He's going to be on a mission. On a mission to redeem himself from last year, and I think he will beat the Los Angeles Chargers. The NFC, the Green Bay Packers versus the Los Angeles Rams. Now, either one of these teams, if they lose, it's going to be hilarious. But you know what would be a funnier joke? If the Packers won, the Rams went home, and then the Packers lose in the next round. That'd be an even funnier joke. Oh no, I spoiled it. The Packers win this game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins will now be in a primetime game. I'm banking. And he will lose this game. And the Tom Brady is back in the NFC Championship game when we all thought he retired. Sweet! The AFC Championship game, we got the Chargers versus the Patriots. Not the Chargers. The Buffalo Bills versus the Patriots. And you know what? I'm going to do it. I think we can have no good things in the NFL. I think that Roger Goodell is going to force this to happen. We're going to get the Patriots winning this game. I already said the Buccaneers were going to beat the Packers for the LMAO moment. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will play the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. We get Tom Brady versus Tom Brady's old team because we get no nice things. And you know what's going to be even funnier? When New England wins. New England will beat Tampa Bay because Bill Belichick knows how to play Tom Brady. And remember that regular season game from last year where New England almost beat Tampa Bay? And Mac Jones was still kind of garbage. So if they can pull that off, I think New England wins this game. So yes, we get no nice things in the world, and the New England Patriots win the Super Bowl in my opinion. Yay. Guys, thank you so much if you sat through this 47.5 minute long video right now. I know probably no one's going to watch this or even watch this far. But if you did, thank you. Because I just sat in my room right now for 47 plus minutes, was reading off random teams' names in the NFL off my computer. And honestly, the time went by quick. It really did. Now you're going to see some Minecraft gameplay. You might see some Call of Duty gameplay right now. It depends how much Minecraft gameplay I still have, because I'm about to go film gameplay tonight for an upcoming video which I'm working on. And that video is going to be a Space Jam 2 parody, a video. I'm working on a Space Jam 2 video where I summarize and make jokes, funny LOL jokes, the entire movie. So that, it's halfway done, or I'd say the script or the jokes and everything are halfway done because I'm an hour into the movie. I still have an hour left to go, and I'm hoping to finish the movie tonight because I've been pausing and writing stuff and pausing and writing stuff. So the goal is to finish the movie tonight. If I don't finish it tonight, I will for sure finish it tomorrow night. And I will film the audio, which I'm thinking it's gonna be even longer than this. So who knows how long it's gonna be. I'll film the audio for it the day after I finish the movie. And that will probably be a unedited commentary as well. So we'll just have to see. But that's my next project coming up. This is the Talledaga Weekly Show. It's going to be a every Sunday thing where I upload a type of video like this where I just ramble on about a topic for like 40 plus minutes. It could be multiple topics some weeks because I might run out of ideas. But next week it will probably be either a college football video on the Talledaga Weekly, either a college football video, or if the NBA Finals ends, I'll do an NBA season recap. But if the finals are still going, if it's Game 7, what I might do on the Talledaga Weekly, figure out if I can stream. I might stream a reaction to the Game 7. We'll just see. I'll give you updates at the end of videos for the 3 viewers who watch this, which if you guys are, thank you. And yeah, we're 50 minutes, so I'm just going to end this commentary. If you guys like this video and want more like it, leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, this is Talledaga. Thank you for sitting through a 50-minute NFL video and signing out. Laters.